Um, I'll report on I had the privilege and opportunity and invitation to go to the National Conference of State Legislatures Legislative Summit and in Nashville, and this was several months back. And I had my report, and I can't find it in there, so I'm going to not follow my report outline that I don't have. But I was able to attend it with the superintendent. And this is a conference that's set up for state legislators at the summit, and it is just loaded with education things, opportunities, what other states are doing. And so our legislators go out there and they kind of prime their pump on, ooh, what's hot here, there, everywhere, come back with these great ideas and want to implement them in the great state of Utah. My experience, it was the first time I was able to go, and I was totally blown away on a couple fronts. One is I was learning what was being shared with our state legislators, and as kind of in this national forum, is our state, and I talked to legislators about it. We're doing it and we're getting it right. We are absolutely on the road to awesome, and a lot of the challenges that they're having, we're on top of it. In a very aggressive form. And so I didn't have any big takeaways of like, oh, we need to do this because they're doing it in Tennessee or something else, because we're already doing it. And then it was the other part of this that was quite exciting as I'm talking to other legislators from other states, is they want to know how we do it in Utah. How is it done? How do you do it for the dollars? They want to learn more about our education community that makes it happen. And so it was really a great time to share. But the biggest takeaway that I had in there was able to rub shoulders with some of our legislators and have one-on-one talks, and 1-on-3 and 1-on-4. And we could not have they had a tight agenda on this conference. And the superintendent, we were consumed from before breakfast to on breaks to lunch to after lunch with the legislators chasing us down, just basically saying, what more can we do? What can we do better? A great deal of appreciation for this board, you guys, right now, and eagerly wanting to know what more could happen. In this, I ran into legislators that are not on the education front that we see in our committees and these are new legislators that are trying to learn more, and their advocacy was just as strong for public education as those veterans that we normally see. The saddest part of this whole trip was meeting legislators that had no idea what public education was all about. They were new. They didn't have champions. They had to beg people in their legislature to serve on education committees. We have this problem in this state? Absolutely not. And so it was a really good fast marathon trip of a couple days, one of those where you had to come home to catch your breath and that, but that was a takeaway from it. Am I missing anything, Superintendent? Wasn't anything great and grandiose to say, all right, let's roll this out into this state. So it was really a great conversation. So if there's not any questions on that, I'll go to my closing comments. Veterans Day is right around the corner, and you had that challenge to try to get into school. And if you guys can swing it, you know, there's some criticism out there that people aren't learning about the flag and the Constitution, but I challenge you to go pick any one of them and go hit an elementary school or hit another school. And if you don't have confidence in something that you're going to be very well enlightened in a big city school, I invite you to come to a rural school, because it is a day dedicated to the flag, to the Constitution, to the state, to our veterans, and it doesn't stop. It goes on all day. Jenny had the great guest come here and talk a little bit about advocacy for education and Constitution and military and that. Many of us, like myself included, I don't have my dad, my grandpas. I have one uncle that served in Korea and did not serve in the military. I don't know why. It just didn't happen. It's not like a rite of passage and the only way to have success, but we can all serve in other ways if we choose to be a part of that support. There's lots of agencies out there and other ways that we can do our part. And I said this once before, that 49 point something percent of our military strength and might is in reserves. And these reservists have full-time jobs. They're your neighbors, and they get deployed, they go on assignment. And if you feel like you want to do something, find those neighbors and friends and relatives that are doing that. Not all these veterans that come home with wounds, losing. I had a fundraiser not too long ago where we spotlighted a lot of it was a Heroes Among Us, and we had quite a few military people there, and some in wheelchairs, and some could barely get around, and we had this fun activities. But they're not the only ones. Some of them come home to an empty house, and their family is gone because of their service, not because of who they are, just because they've been gone so much. And these are the reservists. So all of us, if we can and we can think out, it doesn't hurt when you see a veteran to say thanks. I interviewed a pilot. Actually, I have two pilots that work for me. One is a Vietnam pilot of a helicopter, and I thanked him for his. Well, I listened to him. I noticed he was kind of military. I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I served in Vietnam. I served in Vietnam." Like it was not a big thing, and I thanked him for his service. And he got emotional. Couldn't get through the interview because he can't remember when somebody thanked him. The last time somebody thanked him for his service because of he served in Vietnam. And I have another pilot, it's Apache, that happens to know Scott really well, that actually protected Scott when he was on his last deployment, Apache pilot, and that, and another one that's without some challenges as they go on and deploy. So if you have an opportunity to greet or say hi to a veteran, I think it'll make your day, especially if you thank them for their service and ask them about the service and just listen for a little round. The other thing I want to leave with you, I'm getting long on this, is challenge you to learn a little bit about our flag. I have a lot of fun with it. We did it here many years ago. And you have a lot of fun in the Capitol and a lot of places. This American flag always flies a little bit higher than all other flags. And if you see one, have some fun and show a little respect for it, and maybe tell those folks, that flag's got to be a little higher than the Utah flag or Coast Guard flag or one of these other flags. And you can even go so far as to find a book or something or a piece of wood to stick under the flag platform to elevate it. You do that, and you do this around schools and other people, they'll learn from your little experience there of respecting this flag. And I know it's not a flag day, it's a Veterans Day, but they highly respect that flag. You'll do your part by honoring that. So I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank the staff. A lot is going on. I want to thank you for the regard and respect that you have for each other. This is a great board. Everyone has an opportunity to weigh in on these issues, and I appreciate the regard and respect that all of it that you have. And so thank you for your work. We have work tomorrow. Note, it does not start at 9 o'clock. It starts promptly, and it will start promptly at 8:30. I need you to look at that agenda, and we are spectators in that first piece. We're going to limit for a couple questions, in that. So if you haven't got to that part of the agenda and you can brief yourself tonight, that would be good. So do you guys have any questions for me? Not, this meeting's adjourned. It doesn't require a motion, so thank you. Thank you, staff. Remember how we got to exit? Okay, thank you. No stairs and, okay, thank you.
Front, no side.